Well, when we look at people who do not have access to traditional good quality education, we find that there are firstly a large number of them. And the question that comes to one's mind is that what can technology do about it? Well, what I think technology can do in very brief is to level the playing field, so to speak, because technology would enable teachers to go to those places where they normally cannot go. Technology will enable learners to define their own curricula. Technology also enables learners to define their own pedagogy, which is part of what my work is about, and thereby level the playing field. I actually have an example which is published in the British Journal of Educational Technology September 2010 issue on an Indian village, a tsunami-struck Indian village, where I tested the children for their ability to learn biotechnology in English on their own. And they managed in 4 months to reach the same levels as children in posh private school in Delhi. Well, the development community, well, firstly, it's a very loose community. And it's hard to really advise them as a single group. But I would define the development community as three types of people. There are the entertainment people. They make games, and they should continue to make games. I'm not a great believer in educational games because children, when they detect education being thrust at them under the guise of entertainment, don't quite like it. So the entertainment people should concentrate on the development of perhaps motor skills, of certain kinds of assessment. It's very easy to assess how good a child is or how poor a child is on a certain front. Now, that's not hiding education, because there you're just assessing and sort of giving them scores. So that's one of them. The second one is the loose community of developers, the open source people and so on, who just make things because they like making things. They are key to the whole process because they leave loose pieces of software behind on the internet, they leave loose pieces of content behind. It is because of them that the creation of new content now should be questioned, because almost anything that you need is up there. So that leaves us with the third lot, who are the official developers. Now, what should the official developers do? Well, I've been having some very interesting conversations with them. And I've been telling them, be careful of developing new content, because you need to check how much of it is up there. But what is very important is if you can produce a little manual which says, what's the best English grammar on the internet? Here is all that is available, and this is good for this group, this is good for another group, and so on. So if you help the learners to actually consolidate the information on the internet, then that's what a publisher ought to really do, and focus on that as their activity. So this is what the three groups should be doing. This question of north-south, of developing, I think its days are gone, really. It doesn't really mean all that much anymore. So for example, if you look at technology is traditionally developed in the West, North and West. But developed using what? Developed using the knowledge which came earlier from the other side of the world. If you look at software, well, most of it is being developed by the South anyway. I mean, India being one of the leaders inside that. I don't think there's a single large piece of software in the world today which doesn't have the work of several Indian programmers inside it. So are those fellows East, West, North or South? I think they're just global. They're everywhere. So I don't think that it's a question of where the technology that is developed. The technology is emerging every day, and it's emerging at a very rapid pace. The important question is who decides what to do with it. There are two kinds of work that I'm doing at the moment. One kind is to beam teachers using Skype to places where they normally cannot go. So I've had British grandmothers teaching English over Skype inside the slum schools of Hyderabad, India, and inside schools in Colombia. The children just love it because, you know, they suddenly see this British granny on their wall. The grannies love it because they are usually retired teachers. They've finished what they had to do in their lives. Their houses are now empty. And suddenly I fill them with the voices of children. And so it works very well both ways. The other piece of work that I'm doing is in northeastern England, where I'm trying to train teachers to follow a self-organized learning method, where you group children in groups of 4 or 5. Each group has one computer, and you trigger off the process with a question. So a question could be, why do hot things cool down by themselves? And then you leave the children alone and see how far they can go. The whole idea is you use this method to start the topic. If you have a teacher, then you can follow up with teaching. If you don't have a teacher, you Skype in a granny. One of them is called the creation of self-organized learning environments, or SOLEs, SOLs. That's where the children work in groups and research topics on their own. The other project is, informally known as the Granny Cloud, which is basically a loose group of retired teachers who are able to and willing to beam themselves into remote locations without charging money. So these are the two projects that I'm doing.
What are some of the things in technology and learning at the moment that you're becoming aware of, that you're most excited about, that you really think there's potential there?
The most exciting thing that is happening right now, if you want to call it a technology, you can call it a technology. If you want to call it a science, you can call it a science, is that the internet is rapidly self-organizing. It's it's already way beyond human imagination what it's doing. So each time you invent a new gadget, let's say you invent the iPad, and you sell 1 million. Now the existence of the iPad is not as important, I think, as what it does inside the internet. Instantly, new structures will start to form. New self-organizing systems will come. New emergent phenomenon will happen. Each little gadget causes that to happen. And its effects on not just education, finance, religion, ethics, everything. Everything will change because the internet will self-organize to a point where I believe it will be self-aware.